Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross and I'm the founder at designcuts.com, and this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert Ian Barnard and the incredibly talented South African illustrator Lisa Glams. This week we are down a Dustin. I repeat, we are down a Dustin, which means, probably means it's going to be quite a pleasant show, to be honest. No, I didn't. I'm kidding, buddy. If you
I'm glad it wasn't me for a change. Pick on.
It's got to be someone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're down a Dustin, but this is going to be a special episode. Not going to lie, partly because we're short on time compared to normal. We're trying to pack this in around some
honest,
crazy schedules.
Right?
Yeah, we're the honest designers.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a special kind of quickfire, shorter episode, about 20 minutes or so. And today's theme is golden nuggets, knowledge bombs, or whatever other weird term you want to give them. Basically, we're trying to learn all the time, and we're learning in our careers constantly, and through this podcast and our guests and everything else. And so this was just a bit of a sum up of like, what are some of the standout things that we picked up on and that we've learned that have helped us break through in certain areas as of late. And we're going to try and impart them to you, make it short and snappy, fire through a bunch. So if there was ever an episode to have notepads at the ready, hopefully it's this one. And go. Hey, guys.
Hey. No pressure.
Is there anything that springs to mind, or would you like us? Would you like me rather to kick us off?
I don't mind. I have a few, but it's up to you.
All right. Teacher's pet.
Well,
no, take it away.
I guess a lot of the stuff is more reminders because, it often is that way. Like you kind of know it in the back of your mind, but when these things hit you in the face, you just need a reminder to adjust yourself. And recently, it started off as a kind of a yucky thing for me. I've had a couple of products of mine copied, and it's difficult not to go down the rabbit hole of thinking, going into panic mode of either producing more prolifically or thinking of better things that people won't be able to copy, or it's more of a panic approach. So I've been kind of really working hard on in my mind and my mindset to get myself out of that, and it's a nice feeling when you manage to actually do that. And the main thing I'm focusing on now is just I must just do me, just do you. And it's difficult to think like that when you really are kind of fighting those feelings. But I think it's an important thing to remember that it's pointless trying to fight against your competitors or outdo them, or because all you're doing is you're concentrating on their stuff rather than your own. And I think if you just do you, there's a better chance of you succeeding and doing better work.
Yeah, super smart. I agree. And thing is, it's finding that balance where you're not constantly looking around and getting distracted by what others are doing, but you're not completely blinkered either.
Yes, which is quite important.
Yeah, so like I say, that middle ground where you can kind of learn and be a bit of a sponge, but you're not living in paranoia and your head's on the swivel.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like that at the beginning with me and Dustin.
Yeah.
It was like I was just waiting for him to release a product, and I was like, oh.
But that kind of fueled the two of you on, didn't it?
It did a bit. But it was like every time you'd get like a newsletter from this marketplace that showed all the current products, you're like, oh, I hope he's not in this one.
You would not believe the tension between the two of them in early episodes. It was palpable.
And but yeah, like you say, it did fuel a sort of. It was a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of competition, but just it's like, oh, he's got something out. I need to get something out. So, and sometimes you need that. Like a quote from when we had Angio Pizza on. He said he says about the, it's no fun playing games that you're going to win. Yeah. So if you're the only person doing that only thing in that market, then there isn't sort of like the sort of
Tension.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I've run like I've done a few 10K races, or those. I'm not professional races, but like a charity thing, and I've done like a better time in that than I could ever do on my own because of the other people around me. There's spots of crowds as well egging you on, and I think you just need that. You need that to sort of drive you on.
Definitely.
But then there's.
I think there's a really good balance between having that little bit of push or tension, that there is a competitive edge to what you're doing, and it's pushing you to do better work. But at the same time, if you're focusing solely on that, I think that's when it could get a little destructive. Yeah.
If you can't live in that place
No.
without being tired. As long as you've got other things.
Yeah.
For me, it was just at that point, it was only a very side project, and I had lots of other things I was doing. But now, sorry.
No, go on. Sorry, I'm being rude.
Or now I'm not in competition with Dustin, so it's like it doesn't really matter. And like I suppose if I hadn't have collaborated with Stefan, then we would have been in competition with each other.
Well, we had Becca Cortese on, and we said, how do you deal with the paranoia of all your competitors? And she literally invited them over for wine and cheese.
Yeah.
And had a party and made friends with them all. And now they all collaborate. So collaboration over competition. I've got two. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to hog the old mic for a second.
Yes, go for it.
One is that there's a million ways to do it. And that's something I've noticed from friends and you guys and peers and guests we have on, success stories in the industry. They all have their own path. And that's why I love whenever we have a guest on, I feel like 5 to 10% of the listeners are going to emphatically be nodding along and be like, oh my God, they sound like me.
Yes.
They're affirming that I'm on the right path. And probably 90% are like, actually, that's not quite how I do things. So a different guest will resonate with them, or a different thing we say will resonate with them. But we've had like so many different people. We've had people that kind of bumble their way through and are super laid back. We've had people that are really type A. We've had people, just had Andy J. Pizza on, as Ian mentioned. He's all like pattern recognition. We've got Dustin, who's like Mr. Email Marketing. Like other people get so scared and confused by that, and other people are all about creating like fans and community, and there's just so many different ways. And then within that, there's a million different ways to earn money, a million different ways to get discovered, to break out. There is no formula.
No.
And on one hand, that can seem overwhelming, but on the other hand, it should seem liberating, because wouldn't it be boring if we were all cookie cutter and we all followed the same path? Isn't it delightful that whatever your personality and however you operate, there is room for you, and you can find success?
I mean, for so long, and I still have a little bit of it, I thought the fact that I wasn't on every social platform, that I was basically losing the marketing game. I thought, well, like I'm missing out and I could be doing better. But quite honestly, no, I'm doing just fine. And I literally am only on Instagram. I'm a little bit on Facebook, but not much. And that whole pressure, like you have to do everything, I don't think it's true. I think you you said, Tom, you got to like shape it to suit your personality, and then do what you do well, and stop trying to chase what everybody's telling you that's works. Yeah, sure, it works for them, work for this person, but it may not work for you. So it's okay. It's okay to choose that.
Did you see my recent post on Instagram's Not Your Business?
No, I didn't see that.
I was making the point of like having an Instagram following is not a business. Because a lot of people, that's their aspiration. I got 100,000 followers. It's like, okay,
it means nothing.
You're earning any money.
It doesn't equate to money. Yeah.
And you're such a great example of that, because if your Instagram went away tomorrow, you'd be just fine.
I'd be fine.
You've got a great business foundation underneath that. Yeah. Sorry, Ian.
Actually, there's a really good video I watched today. in a minute I'll find what it was actually called and the person who did it. But what they do is, sorry, that's really unhelpful.
It's a teaser.
It's a teaser. But he did a video focusing on Peter McKinnon, the photographer, vlogger, YouTuber,
Mm-hmm.
and how he's created like $1 million business. And he sort of dives deep into him having like and the reason why is because he's got multiple streams of income. So, you know, we sort of talk about this, that in case one of those, and the same with social media, in case though one of those streams is broken or just disappears, which, like, you know, with YouTube and AdSense and, you know, can sometimes just disappear overnight if advertisers have a big say in it, that, you know, you want to, and I suppose it's like investments, isn't it? You know, they say you should have a varied investment portfolio, and I suppose that's what you should invest in, a varied portfolio of social platforms. You know, not all of them will work for you and give you return on your investment. I haven't found like Dribble or Behance have been very rewarding to me putting out work on that. But it has been for lots of other people. So, you know, Instagram's been my thing and YouTube's been my thing. Facebook is just, I've got like 40-odd thousand followers on there. But yeah, I can't, it just doesn't, it doesn't seem to work
right now.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like, you know, people are really hating Facebook, especially because of the decisions the top people there are making and stuff like that. So you can see how things can change quite quickly.
Yeah.
And so,
it's exhausting trying to figure out.
It is exhausting.
The algorithms are changing. So what do I need to, I can't do it. I'd much rather just be drawing and creating and, you know what I'm saying? It's just,
I
it
saw
gives me a headache.
a great post the other day from my friend Michael Jander, and he was basically saying like what he's focused on the most is relationships.
Yeah.
And his community and his customers.
And that's what
and that
counts.
kind of thing. And I was in the comments chatting with him, and we kind of collectively made the point, those relationships will outlive the algorithm. And not just that, they will probably outlive Instagram.
Yep.
And when you start thinking about it in those terms, it's like your actual core business, the relationships you've made, like our friendships and relationships right now, they got nothing to do with some algorithm. So none of that stuff scares me, because it's like we've got a great network of awesome people. Like we've got our customer, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Like, I'm under no illusions. Like if you've got all your eggs in one basket and suddenly no one's seeing your content, organic reach, that stuff is real. But I feel like people shouldn't give it as much importance as they do. They should actually focus more on the fundamentals, which lie beneath that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good quote there, Tom. I did hear that one. Relationships will outlive algorithms.
It will outlive Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, I got another one. Voice over talent. It's kind of
voice over talent.
Voice over talent. So, think of all the letterers out there, and we've talked about this before. You pay attention to the ones that actually have something compelling to say. And the same when people are combining illustration and lettering, or even just illustration, they can get across a message through their drawing and their art. And I think that trumps talent. I see people who are very, very, very talented technically, and we kind of talked about this with Andy in terms of the musicians analogy with session musicians and that kind of thing. But if they got nothing to say in their art or their design or their music, whatever it might be, people aren't going to pay attention. And I see this over and over and over again, where the people who break out and are the most successful, they have the strongest voice and they're generally decent at marketing. Yeah,
that's a good combination.
And the voice generally comes first, because you can't market something that's crap, because it just won't spread.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to add to that in terms of what is the voice. The voice isn't necessarily, okay, so I need a strong opinion about politics or animals, or it's not about that. It's about expressing just who you are. It's that whole thing of like your purple cow thing, finding what's your uniqueness and actually expressing that as much as you can. I mean, that to me is another way of having a voice.
Yeah, I look at your work, Lisa. Myself and many others, I like following it, and I find it delightful because I like to immerse myself in your whimsical, wonderful universe. Right? I'm not there being like, yeah, I really follow Lisa's work closely because of the technical proficiency of her line art.
No.
Like, you're a great illustrator, like one of the absolute best I know. But for me, that's secondary to the feeling that I get from your work.
And when we were chatting about this, we keep referencing Andy, but because there were so many good nuggets in there, it's that whole thing of like, it's almost like if you don't want to get too good because it takes the magic away of the naivety or the innocence of where the feeling came from in the first place, because it's that projection of that feeling or the magic that you put onto paper that people are attracted to, not the fact that you know how to draw.
I got a good example of this.
Yeah.
I studied an artist called Chuck Close when I was at school, and he's a photorealism artist. So he would look at photos, he'd divide them into grids, and then he would copy what was in each grid very precisely, so that when you zoomed out, his drawing, it would often be like a pencil drawing or something, would literally look like a photo. Like every pore of skin, every hair, every follicle, like just photorealistic. And that's really impressive.
It is.
And he's a great artist, but it's quite short-lived because you look at that and you go, wow, that's really impressive. And then once you've kind of got your head around the concept, the actual work, you're like, well, I could just be looking at a photo.
Yeah.
So you don't get anything that emotive from it after the initial realization of the process. Whereas with something like Picasso, for example, it's very evocative, and you can come back to it again and again and again. It's still novel, and you just see different things in it, and it really conjures a lot of emotion in you.
Yeah, precisely.
I definitely think a lot of work is personality driven in terms of, like even from what you read in the description, or like the reason why I subscribe to a load of channels on YouTube is not because of what a lot of it might not be a topic I'm super interested in, but I love the way that the person shows that information or shows that art or whatever it is. It's what's beneath it is actually sometimes more interesting, or why they've chosen to do something.
Because it's their uniqueness. No, I agree.
And I like sometimes get frustrated when people don't want to show who they are or talk about themselves a bit, because that just adds to sort of like the reasons why they came up with those decisions, which sometimes are quite interesting. You might have two pieces of artwork, but different reasons why they've done the things they've chosen, the colours they've chosen, or just it adds more depth to the sort of the piece, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Lisa, back to you.
Okay. The other thing that I've been
you said you had a list, Lisa. Come on.
Yeah. It might have been a small list.
Well, the other thing I've kind of really been trying to work through recently is, okay, so I have this obsession with work. Like, I need to achieve certain things by the end of the day. You have this kind of list, or whether it's written down or in your head or whatever. And when I don't get them done, I get extremely frustrated. I actually get quite irritated, and I'm not a very nice person to be around.
Oh, we can't believe that, can we, Ian?
No.
Well, it kind of shows in my face and my demeanor, and I get quite ratty, and it's not pleasant. So I'm trying to kind of approach it in a way, because a lot of the time what happens, and I'm sure, Ian, you can relate to this, I go off on a tangent, and it's if I see something that's interesting, I want to try it straight away, because if I don't try it straight away, I'll either forget about it, or I'll lose interest, and I want to try it straight away because I think it could improve either a skill or a technique or whatever. So I will do this. I will pursue it probably for like an hour or 2 hours. So that means I haven't done work. in inverted commas, and so I'm trying to work at trying to kind of see this as it is still a form of work, and it's okay. I did achieve something, I experimented, I pursued a particular kind of thing that was exciting, but it's difficult for me to translate that into, did I actually achieve anything today? I don't know. Am I making sense?
Yeah, well, I seem to spend less time now, which is probably a bad thing, but I would give myself permission just to play for like a day or two, trying to like, I see something, or like, I want to work out how that's made, and how that's put together, and so I would just play and waste a day,
an entire
and
day.
sometimes, maybe.
Serious? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty lovely.
Gosh, I need to lighten up.
No, but it's termed like, I suppose it's like the R&D of your own job, like the research and development.
Yeah.
So I would spend ages just playing around with stuff, maybe in Illustrator, trying to achieve something. And sometimes I'd get like, the small nugget, this is something I can push forward.
Yeah.
Or I just keep hitting brick walls and think, okay, leave this for a while. But not feeling bad that I've spent that time doing it. But then, because like some of my most successful products have come out of me playing and just trying things.
You need that. I swear you need that lateral thinking.
And I think it's very, like, it's at the time it doesn't feel very productive in terms of you're not earning any money, you haven't got an actual physical thing to show at the end of it, but you might have, because like, at the beginning I was like doing lots of tutorials, and it was one tutorial in particular which revolutionized my whole of the products for the next like year or so.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't given myself permission to do those tutorials, then I wouldn't have found it out. So
stop and play, people.
Yeah, stop and play. And like, I've been reading a book about creativity and coming up with good ideas, because like I feel like that's a lot of what my job is at the moment.
Yeah.
Sort of coming up with ideas. And actually, like there's important things that you have to let more time to is play and letting your mind wander.
Yeah. You see, Sorry. I was just going to say,
because we're always connected to our phones.
It's so true.
I would say, due to the time constraints of this short episode, would you guys be happy to do a final quickfire round where we don't even give explanation? We give a one sentence, like, gold nugget until we can't do it anymore. So this is kind of like a drinking game. Lisa's got her wine ready.
Which is nearly finished.
Which is nearly gone. And we just have to go like boom, 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 like round and round. So if it's like me, Lisa, Ian, me, Lisa, Ian, until one of us doesn't have one, and then it stops. Because otherwise just because we're going to get in trouble with our other halves if we make this a regular length one. Right. Okay. So my first one is, don't be afraid to niche. And when you niche, fully lean into it. Don't be lukewarm on it.
Nice. Okay, mine is, expanding your comfort zone is like exercising a muscle. You can start small, but eventually you'll get so good at it that it won't be a chore anymore or scary anymore. It'll just be something you are used to and good at.
Love
it. Cheat with constraints. So maybe limit your colour palette, limit the tools you use, limit the time you're using.
Nice.
There you go.
Put out the work that you want to get hired for.
So unfair, Tom. You probably have to just think about your Instagram post. Okay. I've got one. Anxiety that you feel about your work or speaking to clients, whatever, you can reframe that and just see it as a vibration in your body, and it could be a signal that you give a damn and that you're absolutely ready to go and do it.
Nice. Mr. Barnard. Oh,
It's getting hard.
Boo. This is.
Wish I'd written more things down there.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. The shortest drinking game of all time. Yeah, guys, as I said at the start of this episode, super bite-sized today. But I hope it was just a little refresher course. We'll be back to regular programming next week. We will get our good friend, Mr. Dustin, back in the room. We've got some pretty awesome guests lined up. We got a lot of good stuff lined up actually with the show, but I feel like right now we're all just in we've been so busy. It's like we need to regroup, get some structure, and I'm happy to say we need to play, get a ball pit or something. I'm happy to say we are also going to start doing some Q&A episodes again, because we really love answering your listener questions. So we're looking forward to doing some of those soon. Look out for us on social media. We're at Honest Designers, I believe, on Instagram. We'll put out some questions on there. You should already be following us all individually on Instagram as well, but we can put stuff in our stories. But yeah, look out for that, and we can't wait to answer your questions on the show very soon. So, as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Cheerio.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes and now Spotify by searching for The Honest Designers Show. And remember, we're now on social media too, if you search for Honest Designers. If today's episode helped you, then it would mean the world to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review over on iTunes, as this is one of the best ways for other designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.